The Embassy of Lies. The peace station Ethern Prime hung in the void like a polished dagger, beautiful, sterile, and pointed at nothing. It was meant to symbolize unity among civilizations. To Admiral Marcus Vale, it felt more like a mausoleum waiting for names. 3 human warships drifted outside the station in perfect formation: the Vindicator, the Helios Spear, and the Eden's Wrath. Their guns were quiet, but not powered down. Humanity had learned what peace meant in alien tongues: surrender with new paint. Inside, the Galactic Empire had assembled its highest diplomats. Emerald-skinned envoys in tailored robes filled the council chamber, whispering in sleek voices. Their eyes glowed faintly under the sterile white lights, reflecting arrogance centuries deep. The door hissed open. A human delegation entered. Admiral Marcus Vale, calm, calculating, his uniform dark with the weight of every lost colony. Fleet Marshal Darius Holt, a towering soldier, his cybernetic arm etched with unit markings and the names of fallen ships. And General Rhea Solen, younger, fierce, and visibly scarred. The red streaks in her uniform weren't ceremonial. They were bloodstains never fully washed out. 3 humans. No aides. No entourage. Just purpose. They crossed the room in silence. The alien delegates watched them as though studying a dangerous animal, one that had learned to stand upright. The Imperial Consul Varn rose to greet them, his smile a display of teeth evolved for intimidation. "Honored Terrans," he said smoothly, "it warms the heart of the Empire to see your kind embrace reason after such unfortunate misunderstandings." Marcus didn't return the smile. "Unfortunate misunderstandings?" he repeated quietly. "That's what you're calling the genocide of 6 worlds?" Varn spread his 4-fingered hands. "Tragic events, yes. But war is chaos. Mistakes were made on both sides." Rhea's knuckles whitened on the table. "Your soldiers broadcasted their mistakes live," she hissed. "General," Marcus murmured a warning, but she didn't stop. "You call it chaos. We call it slaughter." The consul's smile thinned. "You're here to make peace, not to assign blame." Marcus leaned forward. "We're here to speak truth." He reached into his coat and placed a small, hexagonal device on the table. The projector whirred softly. Lights dimmed. Images filled the room, raw, unfiltered footage from the human colonies. Cities burning. Civilian transports shattered mid-orbit. Refugees running through fire while Imperial troopers laughed. One scene froze the entire chamber. A school on New Asteria. Women and children huddled in a shelter as an Imperial gunship strafed the dome. The screams faded only when oxygen did. When the light returned, no one spoke. Marcus's voice came low and steady. 2.3 billion dead. Most were non-combatants. Half were women. A quarter were children. And you called this a necessary act of deterrence. The Imperial Council members shifted uneasily. One began to rise in protest, but Rhea's glare pinned him down like gravity. The consul cleared his throat. These images could be falsified. Propaganda. Rhea slammed her fist into the table. The sound cracked through the chamber like thunder. Her voice broke through the silence, harsh, trembling with rage. "You didn't just kill soldiers. You slaughtered our women. You erased our families to break our will. You called it efficiency. We call it murder." The aliens flinched. The humans didn't. Darius rose beside her, slow and deliberate. The tattoos on his arm caught the light, names etched down to his wrist, ending with Imani Solen. He said nothing. He didn't have to. Rhea turned toward the consul, her eyes glinting with tears she refused to shed. "You wanted peace? You thought we'd forget? You don't understand us at all." Marcus stood then, his movement quiet but commanding. He deactivated the projector and looked around the table, meeting every alien's gaze. "Peace," he said, "is built on truth, and truth demands consequence." He gestured toward the viewport where the Terran warships floated, silent sentinels against the stars. "You're looking at the reason your empire still breathes. Humanity could have ended you. We didn't. We came here, thinking there might be something left in you worth saving." He paused. His voice dropped to a whisper that still carried to every corner of the room. Prove we were wrong. The silence that followed was suffocating. The Empire's representatives looked shaken, not by threats, but by conviction. The consul's composure cracked. You wouldn't dare start another war, he said, but the words lacked conviction. Rhea leaned forward, her bloodied sleeve brushing the table. War, she said softly. You think we ever stopped? For a heartbeat, no one breathed. Marcus finally straightened, eyes like cold iron. We gave you a chance to speak. Now you'll listen. He pressed a command on his wrist. A signal pulsed outward, brief, silent, unnoticed by most. But above the station, every human ship came alive. Engines roared to readiness. Marcus looked the consul dead in the eye. You asked for peace. We came to tell you what peace costs. Rhea took a slow breath. Then she said the words that would echo across the galaxy. Galactic Empire, you slaughtered our women. And now we stop pretending to be civilized. The lights flickered. The air seemed to hum with tension. The alien delegates froze, sensing something primal, something ancient, the terrible quiet before a human storm. As the humans turned to leave, no one dared speak. When the door sealed behind them, Consul Varn exhaled shakily and looked to his advisors. They wouldn't, he whispered. They couldn't. Outside, the Terran fleet rotated as one. And in that instant, the galaxy remembered what it meant to make humanity weep. The quiet before the storm. The stars around Admiral Prime burned cold and silent. From orbit, the peace station looked peaceful again, a fragile illusion, one the galaxy desperately wanted to believe in. The Terran fleet drifted in disciplined formation beyond its perimeter, their hulls matte black and scarred. No movement, no signal, no hostility, just waiting. Admiral Marcus Vale stood before the main viewport of the Vindicator, hands clasped behind his back. Every ship captain awaited his command, but he gave none. Not yet. From behind, Fleet Marshal Darius Holt approached, his heavy boots echoing in the quiet command deck. They think we're bluffing, he said. Marcus didn't turn. They always do. On the display before them, encrypted transmissions scrolled down the screen, chatter between Imperial outposts. Fear, confusion. No one was sure if the humans had come to negotiate or to declare something far worse. Darius crossed his arms, his cybernetic fingers clinking faintly. If they still think this is diplomacy, they didn't see Rhea's face. Marcus allowed himself the ghost of a smile. Oh, they saw it. They just don't believe it yet. Inside the Helios sphere, General Rhea Solen sat alone in her cabin, surrounded by silence and ghosts. The lights were dim. On her desk rested a small hollow frame flickering weakly, a recording of her wife, Captain Imani Solen, laughing in sunlight that no longer existed. Rhea had kept it alive for 10 years. She'd never changed the batteries. Somehow, it kept running. Her fingers traced the hollow's edge as if touch could rewrite time. When Darius entered, she didn't look up. How long until command decides? He exhaled. They already have. Directive 7 is confirmed. She nodded once, jaw tight. Conditional response, authorization. The words sounded clinical, bureaucratic. But everyone in the Terran military knew what they meant. The gloves are off. Darius leaned against the wall, watching her. You don't have to do this yourself. Rhea shut the hollow off and stood. Yes, I do. Command conference. Terran Network Secure Channel. The holographic council of admirals and ministers flickered above the table. Earth, Mars, Titan, and the outer colonies. For the first time in history, every banner appeared under one emblem, the Terran Phoenix. Marcus stood at the center projection node. His uniform was unpolished, his eyes bloodshot. We're not debating war, he said. We're already in one. The Empire committed acts that void every treaty we ever signed. An old minister's voice came through the transmission. And if you go through with your plan, you'll make humanity the monster they already claim we are. Marcus met the camera squarely. They slaughtered civilians. We're showing the galaxy the truth. Their truth, not ours. Another voice. You mean the broadcast? Project Retribution? He nodded. Yes. Every atrocity, every recorded war crime, every intercepted order from the Empire's archives. We'll transmit it across the galactic network, unfiltered. Let their own people see what they've done. The council erupted in arguments. Fear of escalation, of revenge, of losing moral ground. Rhea's voice cut through the noise. Calm, controlled, deadly. If we don't do this, they'll erase us again. They already rewrote history once. New Asteria, Jericho Rift, Arcturus Prime. We owe the dead more than silence. Marcus turned to the council. We're not destroying them. We're exposing them. That's the difference between vengeance and justice. The silence that followed was long and heavy. Finally, the High Command voted. Green lights blinked on one by one. Project Retribution, authorized. The signal. In the Deep Space Relay Network orbiting Titan, engineers uploaded the final payload. Encrypted archives pulled from captured Imperial databases, footage from human survivors, black box recordings, all combined into one living data stream. The chief engineer looked at the timer. Transmission ready, sir. Marcus's voice came through the comm. Initiate. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3. Somewhere aboard the heliosphere, Rhea watched the stars outside her viewport. She whispered to the void, for Imani, for all of them. 2, 1. The broadcast began. Invisible waves rippled outward faster than light, piggybacking on every active channel across the galaxy. It carried no weapons, no fire, only truth. On Imperial worlds, screens flickered. Then the horrors began to play. Executions, bombings, medical experiments, atrocities so vile even Imperial citizens fell to their knees. The truth was no longer containable. The Empire's lies began to collapse. Aftermath, the calm before the quake. Hours later, Marcus stood again before the viewport. Outside, Aethern Prime still glowed like an untouched jewel. The aliens inside had no idea yet that their empire's reputation was burning system by system. Darius joined him, voice low. The feeds are live across 6 sectors. Riots already breaking out on 2 Imperial worlds. Their own people are seeing it. Marcus nodded. Good. Let them see. Let them choke on the truth before we ever fire a shot. Rhea entered the command deck, her face pale, hollow, resolute. It's not enough, she said. They'll call it fake. They'll blame us. They always do. Marcus looked at her. The exhaustion, the fury, the love buried under rage. It's not about convincing them, he said. It's about making sure the galaxy never forgets what happens when you touch humanity's heart. Rhea stared out at the stars. They'll fight back. They should, Darius said quietly. We're done fighting ghosts. It's time they met the living. Marcus turned to his crew. Begin fleet readiness protocols. If the Empire strikes first, we finish it. If they beg, we make them prove it. Outside, the fleet's aligned, Terran ships across multiple systems, waiting for the Empire's inevitable response. Inside, the silence stretched. Then Rhea whispered, the quiet before the storm. Marcus nodded. Let's make it the last quiet they ever know. The Empire's fall. The galaxy burned with light. Not from warheads, from truth. Every Imperial world woke beneath skies alive with projection streams. Project Retribution. Cities stopped. Factories halted. Soldiers froze mid-drill as the air shimmered with holograms showing what their empire had done. Massacres. Executions. The bombings of New Asteria and Jericho Rift. Footage of Imperial troops laughing as civilians screamed. Commanders boasting of their cleansing campaigns. In markets, in temples, in homes. Across thousands of worlds, citizens stared in silence as their empire's pride rotted into shame. The streets erupted. Riots. Uprisings. The empire's flag burned on every world it once ruled. Scene 1. The signal's echo. On the Terran flagship Vindicator, Admiral Marcus Vale watched the chaos unfold on his tactical display. Reports streamed in from across sectors. Imperial fleets defecting, planetary governors fleeing, broadcast towers seized by civilians. He didn't smile. It wasn't joy. It was justice, and justice was never clean. Fleet Marshal Darius Holt stood beside him, one cybernetic hand resting on the display table. It's spreading faster than command predicted. Their comm net is disintegrating. Marcus nodded. Truth moves faster than light, Marshal. Always has. A comms officer turned from her station. Incoming transmission. Imperial Admiral Kareth. He's demanding we cease transmissions or he'll retaliate against civilian sectors. Marcus's jaw tightened. Patch him through. The hologram of Admiral Kareth materialized. Tall, regal, furious. You humans think you can destroy us with lies, he hissed. You will bring chaos to every world. Marcus's tone stayed level. You brought chaos when you slaughtered ours. The alien's mandibles clicked in frustration. This will be your undoing. Marcus leaned forward. No, Admiral. This is your confession. He ended the call. Scene 2, the first strike. Hours later, the Empire's retaliation began. A dozen Imperial fleets, desperate to silence the truth, launched coordinated assaults against human border systems. They underestimated what they'd face. On the edge of the Andrus Nebula, Rhea Solen's Helios spear led the counterattack. The nebula's violet clouds shimmered with ion discharge as human ships emerged from stealth. The enemy fleet opened fire first, volleys of plasma bolts cutting across space. Rhea didn't flinch. Her voice rang calm across the bridge. Target lead cruiser. Fire. The Helios spear's spinal railgun thundered, a silent beam of kinetic death slicing through vacuum. The Imperial cruiser disintegrated into glittering debris. Next volley, she ordered. No survivors. Her tactical officer hesitated. Ma'am, they're transmitting surrender codes. Not accepted. The fleet moved as one, executing the Solen Protocol. Total neutralization of all hostiles within 70 kilometers. The stars flickered with fire. When it was over, only drifting wreckage remained. Rhea stood silent, eyes fixed on the void where her enemies had been. They called it war, she said quietly. This is what war looks like when you run out of mercy. Scene 3, the hero's end. At the same time, on the far side of the Empire, Darius Holt commanded the Eden's Wrath in the assault on Krellis IV, the Empire's primary command fortress. The fortress orbited a dying red sun, its surface glowing like molten iron. Planetary shields rippled under human bombardment, straining, cracking. Concentrate fire on the defense grid, Darius ordered. We break their heart today. A voice crackled through comms. Marcus's. Marshal, pull back. You've done enough damage to destabilize the system. Darius smiled faintly. I'm not finished yet. He switched to direct frequency. To any Imperial listening, this is for the women you called weak, the mothers you called breeders, the ones you burned. He keyed in manual override. The Eden's Wrath surged forward, accelerating beyond safe limits, straight toward the fortress. Marshal! Marcus's voice shouted, but it was too late. Darius's ship tore through the fortress shield and collided head-on with the central reactor. A white light consumed the system. The explosion lit the red sun like a new dawn, and then the planet was gone. Scene 4, the collapse. Back aboard the Vindicator, Marcus stood in stunned silence. The reports came in seconds later. Krellis IV destroyed. Marshal Holkia. The bridge crew bowed their heads. No one spoke. Rhea's voice came over the comm, quiet but steady. He got his piece. Marcus looked out at the burning star. No, he gave it to them. Then the sensors lit up again. Thousands of Imperial ships, not attacking, but retreating. Their chain of command shattered. Their propaganda silenced. Their citizens rising against them. The Galactic Empire, 10,000 years old, began to crumble in a single day. Marcus opened a broadcast channel, his voice steady and low. This is Admiral Marcus Vale of the Terran Phoenix Fleet. The Empire has fallen. Humanity will not pursue surrender. We will not occupy. We will not erase you. But remember what you saw today. Not our power, but your shame. We don't conquer. We end monsters. The channel cut out. Across the galaxy, those words echoed like scripture. Scene 5, the aftermath. Later, in the war room of the Helios Spear, Rhea stared at the holomap. Entire sectors once painted imperial red now glowed neutral gray. She whispered, "It's over." Marcus's voice came through the comm, Not yet. Not until they answer for it. Her gaze hardened. Then we make them stand trial. On Ethern Prime. The same station where they mocked us. She nodded. Poetic, isn't it? Marcus exhaled slowly. I'll bring what's left of their council. Rhea looked out at the wreckage of a once invincible empire. You can kill billions, she whispered, but you can't kill consequence. The stars outside shimmered with the fires of rebellion. On world after world, imperial citizens rose, shouting one name into the void. Humanity, not as fear, as justice. The judgment of humanity. The Galactic Empire was finished. Its fleets scattered, its citizens in revolt. But victory was not peace, and vengeance was not justice. For the first time in centuries, the Ethern Prime Council Chamber, once the beating heart of imperial diplomacy, was under Terran control. Its marble walls still bore the Empire's golden sigil, though scorched and cracked. Now, banners of the Terran Phoenix hung beside it, black and red against pale stone, the living symbol of humanity's endurance. Inside the chamber, the air was silent except for the sound of footsteps. General Rhea Solen walked to the central dais, flanked by Marines in matte armor. Her expression was unreadable, not triumph, not grief. Something heavier. At her side, Admiral Marcus Vale stood grim and composed. His uniform was worn from battle, metal still stained with soot from Darius Holt's sacrifice. Before them, chained and pale, stood what remained of the Imperial High Council, 6 alien lords who had once commanded trillions. Now, their eyes darted with the fear of prey that had finally understood its place in the food chain. Scene 1. The Tribunal. The chamber seats were filled with observers, representatives from hundreds of species who had once bowed to the Empire. Now, they watched humanity preside. No jury, no grandstanding, no pageantry, just truth. Rhea's voice echoed, calm and cold. You are charged with crimes against sentient life, genocide, enslavement, forced displacement, biological warfare, and systematic extermination of civilians. One counselor, trembling, hissed through his mandibles, "You have no authority here. You are not civilized enough to." Rhea's eyes cut through him. "We stopped being civilized," she said softly, "the day you captured our children." Silence followed. The room felt smaller, tighter. Marcus stepped forward. "This is not your trial. It's history's." He gestured, and a hollow projector activated behind him. The walls came alive with light. The same unfiltered truth from Project Retribution. The atrocities, the burning cities, the laughter of imperial officers as human colonies died. The counselors tried to look away. They couldn't. Marcus's voice was a low, steady current beneath the screams echoing in holographic playback. You taught the galaxy that power decides morality. We taught it that memory decides legacy. When the playback ended, no one spoke. Finally, Rhea said, "Sentence will be carried out according to Article 1 of the Terran Charter. Accountability through revelation." A murmur rippled through the chamber. "Meaning," one counselor spat. Rhea looked at him without blinking. "Meaning you will live to see the world you created tear itself apart without your lies." The guards moved in, seizing the prisoners. The counselors shouted, cursed, begged. None of it mattered. They were taken to containment, not to die, but to watch. Scene 2. After the judgment. Hours later, the chamber emptied. The banners fluttered gently in recycled air. Marcus stood alone, staring at the starfield visible through the open dome above the council hall. Rhea joined him, her steps quiet. For a long time, neither spoke. Then she asked, softly, "Do you think this ends it?" Marcus exhaled. "No, but it ends the part where we were the ones being hunted." Rhea nodded. Darius would have liked that. Marcus's jaw clenched. He would have said we went too easy. She gave a small, tired smile. He always did. They stood in silence again, 2 soldiers in the shadow of victory. The galaxy outside was changing faster than anyone could predict. Rebellion spreading, old powers collapsing, new alliances forming. "Do you ever think we went too far?" she asked quietly. Marcus turned to her, his eyes hard. "No, we went as far as they pushed us." Scene 3. The memorial. Days later, on Earth, under the rebuilt spires of New Geneva, the Terran Federation held a memorial for the fallen. Hundreds of thousands gathered, soldiers, colonists, children of the war. Above them, the names of every human lost scrolled endlessly across a black skyboard. Marcus spoke before them, his voice carried by satellite across every human world. We didn't fight this war because we loved war. We fought because we remembered love, for our people, for our families, for the small, fragile things the galaxy forgot mattered. The Empire tried to make us monsters, but humanity's strength isn't in cruelty. It's in consequence. The crowd stood in silence. Not applause, understanding. Rhea stood at the edge of the stage, watching the children in the front row, survivors, orphans born under occupation. They were laughing, playing, alive. And for the first time since the war began, she allowed herself to breathe. Scene 4. The last transmission. Later that night, Rhea sat alone in her quarters aboard the Helios Spear. The ship was quiet, the kind of silence only victory can bring. She opened her personal terminal and recorded a message addressed to no one, yet to everyone. To whoever finds this, we weren't heroes. We were survivors. They took our children, so we became the monsters they feared, but only until they stopped being gods. If the galaxy learns anything from humanity, let it be this. Mercy is not weakness. Justice is not cruelty. And when you threaten what we love, you will remember us forever. She ended the recording. Outside, the stars shimmered like cold fire. Scene 5. Epilogue. The Phoenix rises. Months later, deep in space, construction began on the Phoenix Accord, a new coalition of free worlds led by humanity. The old empires trembled, and new voices rose, voices that had learned from Earth's pain. The galaxy had feared humans. Now it respected them. On a distant hill overlooking the Terran capital, a monument stood, a winged figure rising from fire. At its base, an inscription. We were kind once. You made us remember why we shouldn't be. Rhea and Marcus stood there in silence. Marcus said, "Do you think we'll ever be gentle again?" Rhea looked at the sunrise, pale and fierce. Only when the galaxy learns what gentle truly means. The light broke over the horizon, painting Earth in gold. And for the first time in 1,000 years, humanity looked to the stars, not with fear, but with purpose.